One time out on the road, I stopped at a barber shop in a small town. I stumbled into it by chance. It was hidden away on a back street in the old section. Time had sort of passed the place by, and the doors and windows hung off the building like an old suit. The barber was a small man. He had glasses and thin gray hair, had a kind face and a delicate manner about him. He told me he'd been there since 1957, half a century in the same place, treading water and cutting hair. Seems hard to believe nowadays. We talked about the times back then and about how music was when we were young, and about the music now, and how it all sort of seems to come out of computers these days. He said, well, he'd never even used a computer. And he talked about all the changes that he'd seen over the years. He apologized to me for having to raise his prices. Well, that was a couple of years ago, he said. It turns out a couple of years ago was back in 1986. Now some folks sit down and write a song because they think they've got something to prove. And others, well, they try to right every wrong, because to them, life's just one big mountain to move. You know, you can choose just one thing to get along. You put your head down and you just stay in the groove. Well, he asked me how I wanted it, and I said, just shorten it all up a bit. Number 1 or number 2, he asked, and I didn't understand what he meant at first. But that old shop, well, it suddenly brought back memories from when I was a kid, and I looked over at the approved haircuts poster on the wall. It was faded and shop-worn, probably hung there back when the place was new. It had drawings of men's haircuts, and each one was a shorter version of the one above it. It was as if more time and more work made you smaller and smaller. And I chose the number 2 and figured, what the hell? The only difference between a good haircut and a bad one is a couple of weeks. He didn't cut hair the way they do these days. He didn't gather it in his fingers and take little snips with a comb and scissors. He used an electric blade, running it up from the bottom. He asked if I wanted it tapered or blocked, and I didn't know, so I said tapered. I was a little uneasy at first, but then I figured the man's been doing this since I was a boy. I reckon he knows his job. $7 later and a $3 tip, I left that old shop with the best haircut I'd had in a long time.